don't feel that this is enough. It depends on how much close you come to it. You come. And that brings us to everybody loves you. I'm Hollywood. Yoga is more important the teacher, the more you pay. And interesting, I read Wisconsin once, and they asked me, they said the practitioners of Ashtanga. So they said, first, who is the founder of Ashtanga Yoga? Ashtanga Yoga, anybody knows? No, so they answer Wisconsin. And they said, yes. They said, BTS, so I said, there was a great teacher of Ashtanga. Okay, you can understand that. Ashtanga is an ancient science in proper form. Nobody even knows about Patanjali because it's kind of appears prehistoric. Patanjali in any image, you'll see half snake and half man. You never had half snakes and half man. Well, I'm aware. So, definition of yoga. When you say yoga, it doesn't mean just office. Posture doesn't mean just to get good health. Yoga is not meant only for the body. So, Patanjali defines yoga. Yoga is the controlling, restraining, and calming down with peace. When you say with peace, it means all that is trying to become a blank. Somewhere along the thoughtless state. You don't have to work to get the thoughtless state. There is a state when the mind has become absent. But there are also years when it is unconsciousness. Why are you aiming so hard to become unconscious? It's the essence of so yoga is chitta. Yoga is practiced by distractions, the mind stuff. That is when the mind has become absolutely distracted. Intrinsic nature, open, calm, tranquil, and peaceful. That brings us to this. Habit. So what are we looking for? Are we looking for happiness? Yeah, that's a simple question. Peace, tranquility. And all that we do on this learn that somehow. We think that by grasping, collecting, and gathering objects of the outside world, when we realize it's not so that. I'm not saying you shouldn't have things, please. And the mic can be told. The thought, which is just words and ropes on it. All the religion line to look at. Actually, one way or the other. Then goes an empty management guy goes to him and says, man, you're wasting your time. He says, what? He says, look, why is wasting your time? Get up and do this. Then you can have a big house. Then you can have fun. And I don't like fun. I'm relaxing. Get up. I think it's a good insight. I told this to you yesterday before. You see a man, this is a scene usually in this country. Under that sits a puppy. Holding back he has a breaking ball in his hand because he doesn't know where the next wheel is coming from. Jones of rocks sitting under the tree. He enjoy along. And to take his blessings and see the long life people like but you know that we measure a few Rolls Royces. See that man who has nothing. For his next few needs of getting what are the secret? Two things are clear. These guys, they have all that they have, and they have boundaries. Nothing can use boundaries. I'm not saying it should be mistaken. I'm just giving you a story. What I found, which gives you concern now, is similar goes to this guys. I'm the position where you can give up his post in one. In yoga, somebody doesn't have so, this question, which completeness, span, one, what we see, so that we are out of sort, unfortunately. And when we think we are almost reached it, and our moment, and we will meditate, yeah. No cardiologist nearby. Oh, this is our life. The oil level. Did I say anything wrong? So, a great saint, who lived in Banaras. Banaras and died in Banaras. Will definitely achieve. So during the last year of his life, he deliberately decided to shift out of Banaras to see the nature of Banaras. Story about the history of Kasturi means musk deer to go towards upper Himalayas. There's a variety of deer, musk. This is the deer that produces musk. There's a little bag or pouch under its tail, where in a particular season, musk is that season when the musk is produced and beautiful fragment spreads in the air. The poor deer, not knowing where the source of this fragrance is from, everywhere now into chronic bushes and gets bleeding, still can't find out where the source of the fragrance is, not knowing that it comes from a pouch close to the grass. The Vedas said, this is the situation of human happiness and peace and fulfillment. That completeness is the quality of your innermost self. You don't have to give anything. Just so by itself, which is why it's called Satsang. That is peace when everything else is not there. It is consciousness, it's not material. Its body itself is peaceful. That is that center of the being is consciousness. That happens comes from the one. When you are in contact with an external object that you like, what happens is inside. And you say, "Ah." So said Kabir Golden performed in your search history, what you are seeking you found. And then you don't have to worry about the input tax. You don't have to worry about dacoits. Worry about Jesus. Therefore, Jesus Christ, who I consider to walk the streets of Jerusalem, lay treasures in your heart that teach you. And the great teachers, the Buddha, Vivekananda, Shankara, peace, the Vedas. And they said, seek yourself. I'm talking about its essence. There's no condition that I should be doing. Just need to tap it. That happens. Then, but it's itself filled with peace and tranquility. The more you try to give them to the sea, share the profit, share. All flows. When the lotus blossoms, they say that you don't have to put up a board and say, come. I rest. I feel that I'm witness. That's my argument. But not to me. Have any questions. I would prefer that you ask questions related to questions, but this would be the first reference. You can ask me, don't ask me questions on technology and politics. I don't.
One question. This seems to be a great place of knowledge. I mean, mantra, mantra, yantra, yoga. On one side, we have Himalayan yogis, studies which you have done greatly at all. It's nothing. The energy Brahman or Brahman is nothing. You thought that you choose your choice, but what is your recommendation?
Please don't say that the Brahman is nothing. It is everything. Since it's everything and we cannot define it, we say it is nothing. You know, when the Buddhists say shunya, the definition of the word shunya means that which cannot be defined in any way or otherwise. That is not within the field of empirical experience. So vast, and it is from that shunya that the whole world has come. So it cannot be nothing. It is like the zero. Shunya is also called zero. The value of the one increases with as many zeros. Yes. It's a tremendous value. Therefore, understand this when you say nothing. But for that, to understand that, people are being devotional maybe. Some people like the mystery of Mantrams, you know. Some like to go the Vedantic way and find out who am I. If simply said, who am I being? Like the practice of yoga, by which the prana is brought together and made to ascend to a certain channel till it bursts forth into the sky. So there are many ways. What one should remember that there is this urge in human beings to attain. We never stop at anything. Today I have something. I feel this is incomplete. It goes on till the end. I have knowledge. So, say, when you touch, you come to know. Now, if you say, there is nothingness, I have to say something very important. You probably you become nothing. Somebody asked a great yogi, hardest cut to find. He said there is a cut, but it may not be the shortest cut. It may be short, but it is hard. He said, cut the ego into two. Very often, with too much knowledge, also the ego becomes very strong. The barrier to understanding, which sometimes a simple villager might find it. You become nothing when you consider yourself as nothing at the lowest percentage of the height you reach. That nothing is very important. Actually, we are nothing. We are beings. You're absolutely this. Kavita said, human life, human being, power that appears from what? पानी केरा बुलबुला असमनुष्य की रात ये कभी छिप जाएगा जो तारा प्रभात is one mental is not the other. The prophets here in one. Then everything that is not so right. It's
really appreciate the words of the whole of life. Most of us you advise us on how to find
you said you are busy with many things to do in front of you. So, but then before you get busy, it's a good idea to have small periods. I'm not saying every day, but if you are serious about research, first one has to get serious about research. You should say that I'm not satisfied with all. Not say me. Find that first. That itself is a big step. You should say I should start every day fix my attention. It's supposed to so one has to decide if it means to center oneself for 2 minutes every day. And then there has to be a decision. People say that, oh, I'm interested, but if you are so intelligent that they can find it without thinking. How do you say you have done sadhana, the idiots? We have to figure out how to do it. Every day we have to sit for a few minutes. Not enough to learn from this. And during that period, it's a good idea to have small days of study. The busy executives take off some days, right? To do investments, so that when they come back to mind, and then start some practice like initiate. I think this initiation is completely a wrong concept. To be initiate means to initiate proceedings. To say that put something into the earth. Making it look very mysterious. Nothing so mysterious. The truth is like the sun that you see in your eyes. If you ask me, there is a simple way to start somewhere. There are two possibilities. One is in your daily life, rules and prasada. For practice. First, the Yoga Sutras. Ahimsa. I want to go to the Jains. Please, as much as you can practice, try to live without hurting and causing injury to others. Start there. Daily practice. In daily life. Not just your personal practice, but also with how you live in the world. That's so important before you get to the end. And try to restrain yourself. Allow to do extremes. Have some amount of restriction. Everything that you do. If you look at something and you feel I'm going to completely fall for that, stop. You say, no, I'm not. There has to be a certain amount of restraint. Non-violent ahimsa, it also means not to hurt people. It's like but if you call a man an idiot, you never forget it. So words are very watch out. I'm not saying we can do 100%. If you could do only 100%, you don't require any sadhana. You're already a free person. Your best to practice as much as you can. Then, keep your food simple. Moderation is the key. Don't eat too much or fast and start with something. That applies to everything. Don't sleep, don't stay awake throughout the night. Moderation. Watch TV, don't keep watching throughout the night. At least some switch. Right. Now, once you have decided that I do my best in this, then preferably you can sit down back. The we have used our meat outside. It's not agreement. So therefore, cannot remain without an occupation. If you don't occupy it outside, you need to give it something to occupy itself inside. You have discovered the best occupy mind within your breathing. On any you want, you can stop your day. Right? The breath is so important. You can live without food also for some days. You can live without water for some days. You can live without breath for 1 minute. You don't need any information. But it stops it. Yeah. So this important aspect of your whole system, give complete attention to your voice. Give it some respect. Sit quietly. As you breathe in and breathe out, give complete attention to your breath. You don't have to control it. I'm saying to start. Yes, it will watch it going. You can repeat that in your mind as you inhale. Traditionally, in our culture, when the breath goes soft, so it becomes automatically you feel like giving a deep sigh. This is the time when you can believe that your mind is coming down. So stay with it for a while. As you go on doing this, you will begin to feel more and more blissful. Once you get a taste of a little bit of tranquility and bliss, stay. And do this every day without you. Don't think that 1 week now you get samadhi. Keep doing it every day, regularly, till you actually feel that even in the midst of all circumstances, which means somebody abuses you while you are trying to obey. Are you married? I personally think that marriage is a wonderful thing. It really shows you very. That's That's your ego to such small pieces. I can't pick it up. And it's a good thing. Please take that also a good thing. Then also gave you some not easy answer. Whoever has caused this was God in human form. Yes. Not easy. Yes, sir. Yeah. Are there three things really? No. You say responsibility. Every human being has a responsibility to immediate self. I can understand. That's a larger responsibility. So anything in my little circle that interferes with my larger responsibility to manage should be given less importance than that. Not easy. It takes time to figure it out. You say surrender. I'm a little worried when somebody is surrendering to somebody else. Ah, yeah. At some point, you see that certain things in life happen, so there's no point in getting worked up about it and still be resisting. May work, may not work. You shouldn't say I didn't try. When you say now it's not working, then surrender. But that should not prevent you from pursuing your. That's what all I'm thinking. From my experience. In this modern world that we live in, we are faced with so many things that attract us. Huge many things that satisfy our eyes, our ears. So we are trying to say that the mind which is always caught up cannot turn back mind of its source. Only if you then we should offer resistance to the mind when it tries to. So it can't be done all of a sudden 100%. It's that if you think one day, eat a particular thing in my diet, say no possibility right. If you feel that I have to watch 6 hours of TV every day, restrain it and make it home. Restrain, say, put control to your sense organs so that the sense organs get the message. So this guy is not going to let me. He's not going to put me in and let me. This will be habitual. So behavior with people that you have to have the Here, in this context, restraint means Don't hate that person. I started meditating. Every time I had the advantage that my guru was with me. The only problem was often a person who caused me a lot of trouble, who really suddenly when I was about to calm down, this image would appear. Still, how do you meditate? As if he's still in front of you. I'm upset. So I told Babaji, yeah, I didn't tell it. I was meditating one day, trying hard. Otherwise, I walked in and said, so later, who are you looking at? I told him, "Ah, Babaji." He said, look, even some days it's right. He said, yeah, some days it doesn't happen. Some days it happens. Even on the days when it doesn't appear. And in front of you. I said, Babaji, but how will I meditate with this guy? He said, no, but you should visualize him in front of you. Go down before that figure. It was actually that man I would never have bowed down, but the image. Bow down before this guy and yourself, say to him, come in this form to teach me a lesson, to make me free of hatred, of, and then sit down and meditate. It was terrible, honestly. Second day, it was worse. The frequency of this man became less. And after some time, the image thought that what point of going and getting flowers? This guy is not irritated. You let go. So I was on. So, example. So you understand what I mean by restraint. Now it may mean different things to different people because we all live under different circumstances. All I'm saying is hold. And restraining talk. Before you say something, just hold on for a moment and think, what am I going to say? One, to whom am I going to say this? Three, are these the right circumstances to say it? Before you blurt out, because 90% of the problems in this world we produce by blurting out things which we shouldn't say. But true. So just think, is this what am I going to say? And is this the right person to say it?
It seems that the mind and body are against the woman.
And you are the Brahman inside. That's your true ID, the Purusha. Don't want to call it Brahman. Let's say the Purusha. I love the Sankhyas. So Purusha. So part of you, and that's the most important part of you, and without which neither the mind nor the body can function. Thanks.
Somebody who comes from such a clarity and neutral platform with lack of oriental exaggeration, like you were honored. So I have one question. When it comes to paramuktas, like Mahakar Babaji, with all the sadhanas we do, potential to reach such entities,
you can't.
Possible do they exist?
And I can tell you this thing. Babaji, beings like Babaji are there not to make us, not because we have to see them. People come to me and say that we need to take Kriya. So I said, okay. They say, so how do we see Babaji? First, I don't hold any license. I, I can't say, okay, this is come and see Baba. Yeah, I have no such means, to be honest. The other is, you don't take Kriya to see Babaji, right? You take Kriya so that you can evolve. And by evolve to a great extent. And perhaps when you evolve, you might see him or you might not see him. That seeing is not important. This, and then people have gone so far that they imagine sometimes. The other day somebody told me he saw Babaji in the toilet near the window. I said, God. I said, then why have you come to me? You're lucky guys. So that's not important at all. However, Babaji has given some guidelines to them. And then evolve and reach a spiritual stature. When you reach there, then you can decide you really want to see him. It makes no sense.
When will you,
1 second, sir.
when will you write the Himalayan Master 2? We are expecting, yes.
Oh, there is only one. But what he means is there a follow-up to the autobiography, which you are keeping with you? Yes, there is a follow-up. I'm writing the second part. Second part is you can't actually say it's a follow-up. When I ended the last chapter of my autobiography, I said the journey continues. It's continuing. So I have in the autobiography, which some of you would have read, things in. It's the tip of the iceberg, put it that way. So there are many things which I haven't discussed, which I am trying to discuss in the next part. Things about practices, maybe past lives, you have to see it, and so on. So this is the second part. Since you asked this very seriously, this is not the first time you're asking me this question. I want to tell you I'm very glad, good news for you. At the Brighton Bush retreat, I went for 2 days to stay at my friend Jerry Jones' beach house. And in the beach house, since I had nothing else to do, I wrote. So I have to send it to the publisher, and it will take another 3 months for them to put it through the process and get it out. So it's done. I still haven't decided about the title because I certainly don't want to call it Autobiography Part 2. So I don't know what title is going to be. Let me tell you the contents are a little different from the autobiography. In the autobiography, there is a chronological order. I start as a young boy and I grow up and so on. In this, there is no chronological order, which means each page is independent. Each chapter is independent by itself. So you can read the last chapter first or the first chapter first. It's like a collection of complete stories in each chapter. Sometimes you'll find me talking about some distant memories. And the next chapter, you might hear me talking about what happened with Babaji in this life. So it's like a collection of memoirs with no chronological order. I'm saying all this because you asked me. I'm not trying to sell the book. There's somebody put up his hand at the last. Yeah.
We follow the rituals we practice, right? So for each and every ritual we follow, to give the scientific reasons to our kids?
Not required. Not required. See, you can't now go and dig in and find out what are the scientific reasons. If a certain ritual keeps your mind centered and completely occupied for some time, as long as it doesn't involve injuring an animal, like a horse sacrifice or something like that.
What happened was I was just doing by applying vibhuti.
Sure.
My kid asked me why you were applying on all the joints. On the day I was not having any answer.
And that's true. It is, they're all practices that have come down to us from generations, and we're just following them. If somebody asks, if I don't put this on, does it matter to you? If I put it on to you, I'm following what my forefathers used to do. And vibhuti ash, and it's a symbol of Shiva, the god of destruction, who's supposed to be living happily many times in the cremation grounds. So it is an indication, since you asked me, that we will also finally end up as ashes. Bhasmantam shariram. Finally, we will all become bhasma. So we're just showing it here I stand. It's not our paint.
One more thing I found out after doing some analysis, we apply at joints, right? So I found out that it absorbs the moisture when skin closes here, try to generate some sweat. So it absorbs the moisture and it kills the bacteria which is generating.
Maybe, I don't know. One can also use that are available. We can just. Anyway, I'm not making fun of it. Sorry. 1 minute. Let me go according to the. Yeah.
So I have two very beautiful children. My 5-year-old still is able to find joy in most situations. But my older one is sort of coming into the ways of the world where
How old is? How?
11. If I get this, then I'll be happy. I have to do better than him. So what is the best way to teach children to start thinking about it's just your inner happiness that's important, not what you get?
I know, you can't preach to little. Okay, but children are very sensitive. Okay, so you can't take them for a ride. The eyes are open, the ears are open. The last person you can fool is your own child. Of course, your wife also. Many people ask me, are you always tranquil and peaceful? I said, ask my wife. She lives with me. On stage, they will follow and imitate your life. You don't have to teach them. So if you keep your life simple, they will learn how to do that. That's one thing. The other is, give them small, simple comic books to read. You know those graphic comic books like we have in India, we have Amar Chitra Katha, Amar Chitra Katha, and so on. So there are these truths expressed in simple stories there. So maybe they'll read that and understand. We follow a life which you would love them to imitate. So if we change, they change. Yeah.
Being kind is something you can.
Absolutely. So that should be clear to the kids. You should be kind. So we should also live like that, and we should also teach them simple stories, not like angry and shout at them. It doesn't work.
Okay. We keep talking about the subjugation of ego to attain peace, but in this competitive real world, it seems to be the very basis for one's survival. How do you reconcile the need for ego to survive in this world to attain peace?
Sir, I am also surviving in this world. Saying that we can become egoless. I think if somebody says I have no ego, nobody is without an ego. I'm only saying keep your ego good and not negative. Keep your ego good and not negative. Of course, it's a competitive world, but don't go into the competitive world with the killer instinct. Understand? Bring it down, because nobody finally achieves anything out. Understand this fact and live clean as one can. That's all one can do. Try your best. And develop interest where there is less of the ego play. Really are serious about ego, that you really want to make it pure and good, then you would naturally shift your profession and do something which doesn't do it. If you're not ready to do that, we are still not so serious about it.
My question is with respect to the importance of Guru. So, considering that I am very only in the infinite or experience with our limited senses, I wonder whether it's really possible without the help of someone who is already experienced, right? And are there any people who have done that without external? That's why reading books was.
It's a long question, but I'll try to make it short. What he means is that is it possible to start whatever we're talking about without a guru, without a guide, without a teacher who has already experienced it? Because as you said, we're trying to reach that which cannot be reached by the sense person. We can't reach it with the senses. Okay, let's keep that out. Now, the problem arises. Then your last question, let me answer. Has anybody attained it without a teacher? I can give you very few examples, but there are. Ravana Maharshi of Tiruvannamalai had no gurus. At least we know of no gurus. But then probably he had matured to that state. That's all you can explain. There's no other explanation. He didn't have a teacher. He didn't have a guru. And I think he didn't want to become anybody's guru. So people would like to say that our guru, he never initiated anybody. He didn't have a disciple. So this is possible, but it is difficult and it's rare. For most people, it's a way to have someone who walks where the pitfalls are. It's fortunately written about it. Start with reading and then figure out. Unfortunate problem is nowadays. Babaji told me a story of a young man who went to a guru and he said, "It's how to become a disciple. So what am I to do? You have to get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is serious. And then you have to clean the kuti where you live and also mine. Okay. Then bring water Ganga. At 5, okay. Do your yoga asanas for 45 minutes. Okay. By the time kind of inaudible. And then then study 2 hours every day. Okay, he said 1 minute, sir, this is getting little beyond me. What does it, what should one do to become a guru? He said nothing, just sit and bless. Why don't you make me a guru, sir? I don't want to. So nowadays that problem is very much there. I always, even when somebody takes Kriya Yoga from me, look, please don't go around teaching. You just know what you're doing. It takes time before you mature. So tomorrow you take Kriya, you go and then on this, you set up shop. And you say, this, who taught you Kriya? Shriyam. Oh, okay, fine. It's very cheap, $3,000. So this setting up shop has become very popular. So you have to be very careful with. My understanding is, if you are sincerely seeking, then the guide who is for you will somehow manage to find you. That's my experience. So at the moment, don't worry about that and don't run around looking. And especially don't be impressed by external looks. Be with the person for a while and decide. And find out if you want to give something to you. Decide all these things carefully. read the literature available on the subject. Lots. Keep reading. And when you're really serious and sincere, I tell you that you will find a teacher. Now, who shall I ask? There are 1, 2, 3.
So what's so special about the Himalayas? I mean, so many people go there for enlightenment, Guru Gobind Ji, even you, sir. What's so special about it?
Well, it's like this. The Himalayas has been the seat of great rishis from time immemorial. Understanding some great there that they are not known to the outside world because the unknown ones are much greater than any known ones. So there is this atmosphere there, which is why people go there and meditate. Apart from the fact that the upper Himalayas are one of the most beautiful places in the world that I've seen. And beauty and quietness and isolation bring about a certain change in the mind. The rishis. Okay, leave them alone for the time. I have personally felt, and people who have told me felt, after a certain while, tourists and people going to Char Dham and rushing up and down. You go to the upper Himalayas, quiet and nice, you automatically feel meditated. With the low oxygen levels. Disprove that you can take an oxygen, as much oxygen as you like. But it does make a difference when you go up, which is why people have been going there for years. I know places in the Himalayas, on the tourist circuit, for instance, which are really beautiful places where you can feel something going on. Lady, no gender discrimination.
I want to ask you about past lives. Are they really important to know? And do you have vasanas from past lives? Is it really important to know that what you are here and why you are here is because of the karmas you've done in your past lives?
Well, it's not really important to know. It may be in the sense that if you suddenly feel that there are some qualities in you, some habits in you, which you are not able to break free of, perhaps there is a link in the past. That way it might be useful to know. But knowing your past life is not so easy. However, a person who is intent on sadhana, who wants to reach the truth, need not necessarily know all his past lives. With that. But as you go along, because you and subtlest of your mind, consciousness, it's quite possible that in the process you might discover something which probably gives you a hint of your past life. But there is no need for a deliberate attempt past life. I'm really saying this because nowadays people have things like regression therapy and so on, which is basically hypnosis. Now, in a hypnotic state, if I tell you you are the king of Rajasthan in 2000, you will believe it. Because your mind is sensitive at that time. Really good. But you can't base 100% belief in that. Right? I think yogis discover their past lives themselves, trying to make them discover. In the process, if you discover, there is no need to discard. It's 10:30, Naresh. in Gujarati or Hindi? And I don't know whether we should discuss this subject here. He said, why is there so much importance to snakes in Indian culture? Because it was Shiva and Naga. I suggest that you read my autobiography and chapter on the Nagas. I have given many explanations which will probably satisfy you. So to that. As far as Shiva is concerned, from my understanding, Shiva is a symbolic representation of the concept of a great yogi with his third eye open. And the snake on Shiva is the coiled energy of Shakti called the Kundalini. So it's like that. You please read the book.
With Soham meditation, that is explained in one of your books. And Hamsa, how to learn
How to?
learn to do it properly.
So I just explained to somebody here, Hamsa. I explained it. Somebody asked me, I said Hamsa. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether you say Soham or Hamsa. It's both the same. It's Hamsa or Soham. The easiest way to practice, as I said, complete attention to your breath, and when you inhale in your mind, and when you exhale in your, so when you go in it is hum, when you go out it is saw. So stick to that without counting, with complete attention on the hum and the saw. Now today, since we live in a technological world, I suggest that you tape hum saw in a whatever and keep two headphones in your earphones, and while you breathe in and breathe out, adjust to those, your inhalation and exhalation, so that you don't even have to chant it mentally. Remain as long as you can in that position. This is the best way to start. It doesn't matter. If you like to say hamsa, that's fine. If you like to say soham, that's also fine. I think I'll take one more question. One?
Online.
So what do we do to people who are in front of?
They also see.
Oh, I didn't know that. So they're seeing all these antics live? Okay. Sir, I'll answer those questions. Yeah. From? Okay.
He asks, what's the importance of food in sadhana, and how is it possible for a working professional who work 12 hours outside of home? What is the solution?
I personally travel all over the world, 24 hours a day, and I have had no time vegetarian food anywhere. If you think vegetarian food is only made in a certain way, you run into trouble. But if you don't mind and you like to eat food which is nutritious and at the same time available to us without killing animals, you can find it anywhere in the world. I have survived in Rome, in many parts of Italy. Pasta is wonderful. So it should not be a problem at all. For me, it has never been a problem. I have traveled all over the world, and except maybe in some parts of Germany, I haven't had much difficulty in eating simple food which comes without killing animals, or it's vegetarian food. So it's not a problem at all. You can manage. Sometimes you have to forego the particular taste that you want. Please also tell him that nowadays, oh, what is a jackfruit? I don't think you have jackfruit here. Do you? Not durian. Jack. Okay. Now the green jackfruit. If Mr. Desai is not a vegetarian, and if he loves the taste of chicken, green jackfruit cooked in a particular way tastes just like chicken. Also feels like it. And then there is tofu of all kinds. So I think it's possible.
Is hotel food good for sadhana?
Huh?
Is hotel food good for sadhana?
The best thing is to have your own food, but if you can't, then what do? Hotel food. Huh? Well, I go to Saravana. I have to ask them online, yeah.
What are your thoughts on ambition? Does ambition necessarily contradict with the spiritual life? How do you approach it?
Look, if your ambition is to, ambition is about. Ambition as a person who desires to have spiritual fulfillment also has ambition. Not that he doesn't have ambition. It's also an ambition. In fact, I'm not worried about all this. I have to find that. It's the greatest of ambition. So ambition is not a wrong word. Ambition. In your ambition, are you going to grind others below your feet? Or in your ambition, are you going to hurt others? In your ambition, are you going to be problems for others? These are the things that have to be looked at. Understanding that whatever you make in this world is about complete satisfaction. You might think so, but when you reach there, no. So I think it's better to have a spiritual ambition. Ambition per se is not a bad word. It's how you put it through. How it is less selfish than more selfish. That is an important point to note. Suppose I'm married and I have children, and I have this great ambition of becoming something. And in the process, I want to neglect my house and my children then that ambition is, you have to examine a little carefully. Am I right in having this ambition or not? Because the criteria here is humanity. Sir?
Sir, namaste. I am Dr. Maksud Ahmad, practicing medicine. I am 69 years old.
1 year older than.
Excuse me.
1 year older than.
All throughout my life, I have been searching for God. And I have been doing some sort of a research, philosophically, reading religions, and trying to absorb the essence of all religions. Finally, I philosophy that God is truth. And truth can be obtained only by probing. The only department in human life that probes truth is science. And being a person of scientific temperament is the best religion according to me. And I will faith, religions, and their religion. I think to bring on harmony, peace in the society or community or in the human race, develop a scientific temperament and dispel all superstitions.
You're right. Question, it was a statement. So I accept it. And my exploration has also been pretty scientific. Only thing is, when you say scientific, need not necessarily mean only physical science. There are much more other things to look into, like physical science is one aspect of it. There is psychology, there is neurology, there are many science related to that. So when you say scientific, what people mean by science, you may not be mean by scientific is something which I can put in the test tube and check. Can you put love in a test tube? Can't. There's some other things involved in it. So therefore, scientific means to be without prejudice. No scientific discovery has been made by anybody who had prejudice. I know everything, how can I move forward? I can't. So the mindset that says, I don't know, so let me know. If that is the definition of science, one has to, there's no other way out. And let me tell you, much of the exploration into space that have been had by great sages have all been very scientifically coordinated, step by step. I think that is very important. We don't get sidelined and go in the proper direction. In this context, what is your discipline as a doctor? What do you practice? Jain. Very difficult to come by nowadays. Everybody is a specialist. So anyway, in this matter, I want to tell you that I'm myself working on a book which might appeal to people who say that we are very scientific and so on. And that is, this is not the title of the book, but it is the subject matter of the book. I have not decided on the title. I've just done about 4 chapters. I'm still working on it. It's called The Neurological Basis of Mystical Experience. So I'm working at it from the point of view of the different centers in the brain, on and so forth. So when it comes out, I would like to go through the manuscript and make some suggestions if you have.
My question is on decision making. Every second we and the mind has its own thought process, dislikes, likes, and all that. And then plus environment where many other thought processes and energies are coming from. So what is the best process to make the right decision for you? And that gives you the most peace at every second.
The right process of making a decision depends upon what you think is right, first of all. Because a decision is to be taken after a great deal of thought, but at the moment. This is a subject to do with psychology, of which I am not a big expert. However, when I want to take a decision, not concerned about what travails and difficulties I have to go to achieve it. When I was at the age of 19, quick decision whether I should go to the Himalayas or stay on. Both were open to me. I'm giving you an example. Both were open to me. I would have become a big businessman, joined my father's construction business, married at the age of 18, and by now had a dozen or more children. This whole thing I would have bakers and Cadillacs in India, if you can afford it. That would have been my life. And then I want to find out the truth, the Himalayas. Now you see the decision. On one hand, what I want to do, I know that I have to go through the unknown, I have to go through many roads and many. The other is it's very simple. I just have to stay. Take that decision. Because that's the important thing in my life, in my mind. So this guides what is give it a thought. Don't take quick decisions without thinking about the pros and the cons. I've given an example in my life. So, online. Okay. I think this will be the last question. Two people.
So what's your thought on destiny?
Sir?
Destiny. You said decision making. This lady asked you about decision making. What's your thought on destiny?
Sir, I think that when we try things and it doesn't work, we like to call it destiny. And it's such a thing because some people take it very easily and they're so lazy and they don't want to attempt anything and they say this is destiny. Stay there. I have spent all my life fighting. We should fall that trap of destiny. It's a word we use and nothing works. Open our mind and try to work on. If constantly you work and it doesn't work, really you're not done the proper thing. Situations are not so, or it may be destiny. That is the last thing one should think of. See, you look at all the people who have made their lives, if they had thought about destiny and sat, they would have done nothing, including scientists. So,
how do I know that I'm making progress and how bothered should I be with a by a potentially better path than what I'm currently doing?
Suppose you plant a sapling, right? Today you have planted a sapling. Do you think it will grow up to be a beautiful tree if every night you pull it out and check how much the roots are? No. So leave it for a while. It takes time. Said when you plant a seed, it takes many years to grow into a big tree. Give it the proper nourishment, look after it, but don't keep checking on it. Okay? And from the spiritual point of view, there are 2 things which you should note if you're progressing. Have you developed the capacity for one point attention? Your mind is still getting distracted. It could be even worldly things. Let's not make a distinction between worldly and spiritual. Here I am saying one point attention. Suppose I am doing something, is my mind getting distracted or not? Less distracted, that means I am moving properly. The character point of view, psychological, I will certainly be kinder, forgiving, peaceful, and more tranquil than I was before. There are 2 things to watch. If this is not happy, even if you have a million visions, you are still not walking on the path. Visions as they elevate. Doing the yoga? No. So this is what we have. I have one more question I can yes. Where are we from?
From this point onward, if the whole that we can't consider or is that
the theory of karma needs a great deal of explanation, but let me tell you this. If you are sitting down and because of my past karma, this is my life, I'm going to sit and take it lying down, it is only going to increase. So forget about what we do about the recess of the karmas. Do now. Because you you now? Why is it that you have passed at one time that was present for you? But you did something. So now is the opportunity for you. So the central part of your karma is the present, not the past. You cannot go the past. But considering that you are here now and creates an opportunity to you, I think you should dump the memory of what happened now so that your future is decided, so that you don't have to get up in the next life when I meet you and stand up and say, what will I do with my past? You understand? We do. I, for myself, don't want to come back, but we see. So, what? Last.
Ask this question about.
Sir?
I think you've done a lot of good work going to Himalayas, meditation, all of this. What do you understand of God?
What?
What do you understand about God? Because God, I see God in, some of us see God in Sai Baba, some see God in Durga. And Durga or Kali, wise understanding of God.
Well, in contrast to what you're saying, I see God in the cows, in the goats, in the criminal, in the fellow who is inside murder. I see God in all, not only in Durga, Shivdi, Sai Baba. That is the difference. I see God everywhere in all of you. And I think the gods, living gods who are sitting in front of me are more important than the pictures of the gods that we know of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that you took time to listen to me. Glad to with complete attention without a distraction. Thank you very much.